Dolly Madison was the First Lady of the United States from 1809 to 1817 and is credited in establishing the role of First Lady as one in which the spouses championed causes of a social justice import. She was also a great entertainer, famously hosting bipartisan gatherings at the White House. In fact, she was the first in the history of the then fledgling U.S. presidency to bring the parties together in a social manner. In short, she was a trailblazing woman, and this is why I named my sourdough starter, the one gifted to me by Ilana Weiner Kaplow, TBI's talented seventh grade teacher, Dolly Madison. Dolly and I, as of this writing, have baked and gifted close to 100 loaves since March, and together we have brought smiles and healthy bread to many. Baking sourdough, albeit a bit of a caricature in the time of quarantine, has helped me find peace and a healing ritual in the era of COVID. I know there are going to be a lot of sermons delivered over these high holy days about the silver linings of quarantine. This will not be one of them. I know that for many, hearing these words this morning, this has been an extremely difficult time with feelings of isolation, cessation of activities that make us feel us, and of course, loss. The Torah calls the Jewish people stiff-necked. We are stubborn, resourceful, and resilient. It is times like these which challenge us to take on the positive attributes associated with stiff-neckedness and employ those resources for good. This is not always easy, and it is in fact the lack of ease which gets us out of our bubbles and forces us to confront some of the traits in ourselves that may stand some improvement. In our history, we have endured much, much worse. For some, in our lifetimes even. Save a few introverts I know who have relished the time in lockdown, most of us have faced numerous tests throughout the last 6 months, and for the most part, we have weathered them. The Jewish community, and particularly TBI, pivoted rapidly in order to provide meaningful worship and schooling. It was not easy, and in the last months we have learned so much, evidenced even this morning, as we have added streaming capabilities and a partially produced high holiday experience designed to provide the highest quality worship we could for all of you while still keeping everyone safe. Young families entered into worship through our incredible Bitmoji sanctuary with hidden treasures and fun opportunities. The faculty have undergone training to help them actualize Zoom for the best possible educational experience. Will it all be perfect? Of course not. But our resilience will prevail, and we will get through this as we always have. Our TBI community is facing a lot of change in the coming year that will require us to again leverage our inner resources and maybe a bit of that stiff-neckedness. The transition to a new rabbi may for some be more challenging than the pandemic. For them, this change comes with trepidation and is filled with anxiety in anticipation of what the future holds. I assure you that those charged with this task are up to it, and I have faith that a year from now, we will begin the next chapter in our history with the right rabbi for our community. I also have confidence that each of us will do what it takes to ensure the success of this new member of our community. I have witnessed other transitions over the last 26 years, and I look forward to helping shepherd this one. It is not coincidental that the anthem of the Jewish people is called Hatikva, the hope. We are a nation that has relied on hope for the entirety of our history and have miraculously leveraged this hope to survive even in the most difficult situations. On this Rosh Hashanah, I am filled with hope. I am not a Pollyanna by any means. I do not trick myself into being hopeful as a way of avoiding reality. On the contrary, I am realistic, thoughtful, and above all, hopeful. This hopeful outlook may seem strange coming from me after this summer, one in which we as a family lost out on graduation, a wedding, camp, and of course, most painfully, we lost my mother. I decided weeks ago that I was not going to dwell on the sad this morning. That is not my style, nor was it my mother's. She was a pick yourself up by your bootstraps kind of personality. She did not believe in dwelling in sadness, but rather looking forward. And isn't that what Rosh Hashanah is all about? Looking forward to the new year. How blessed are we as Jews that we can abandon this past very difficult year months before the rest of the world. I, for one, will embrace 5781 wholeheartedly, ready to trade in 5780, 2020 in any way I can. Someone shared that if 2020 had a signature drink, it would be colonoscopy prep. Funny, but true. But if we extend the metaphor, what have we cleaned out this past few months that will allow us to move forward, to perhaps improve our lives or the lives of others? We have to seize the notion of hope in whatever way we can. That is the Jewish way. I've embraced a number of new things, and not just sourdough. I am so grateful for the summer we had. I don't remember a more glorious summer. I am blessed with a dear friend who allowed me to sneak into her backyard pool to swim every morning. I missed only a very few days, because every day the weather was amazing. The swimming helped me to become more fit, build more endurance, and generally feel better. In fact, physically, I feel better than I have in decades, and I'm already contemplating how to maintain this level of physical health once the pool closes, but COVID continues. Together with some dear girlfriends, we created a Shabbat afternoon ritual. We gathered each and every Shabbat afternoon all summer long. What started as a weekly Zoom gathering morphed when the weather provided for in-person outdoor contact. We rotated from house to house and shared food, good conversation, and most importantly, friendship. I know I would have struggled more than I already have without their love and support, and I will always be grateful to them for their kindness and love throughout these months. I had a difficult time reading at the outside of the pandemic, which for me is truly unusual. Given that, I decided it didn't matter what I read as long as I read, and so I escaped into literature that is not always my style. I read what is often called beach reads. In fact, one of the books is literally called Beach Read. And you know what I learned? That sometimes that's just what you need. A Calgon, take me away kind of book that has no resemblance to your life, your loss, or what is going on in the world today. Although giving tzedakah is something that was ingrained in me early on by my incredibly charitable parents, I have endeavored to be more charitable since the onset of the pandemic. I've made it my practice to give money and food regularly to food pantries in our community, and have also made political contributions to candidates that ally with my hopes for the future. I have supported friends of my children who are engaged in organizations related to mental health in particular, a cause I believe must be openly discussed as more and more of our fellow citizens struggle to maintain their equilibrium. Rosh Hashanah is not just the renewal of a new year, but tradition tells us it is also a time for personal renewal and actual reinvention. What is the new Lori going to look like? Trying to balance my physical and mental health is one of my goals, as well as working on some writing I have long ignored. I want to be more present for those in my life, near and far, and take stock of what is truly important to me. Are there changes on the horizon? Perhaps, but I'm not afraid of change. I embrace it, particularly in the service of becoming my best and happiest self. I challenge those hearing these words this morning to set up some of your own action items for renewal and reinvention. Rosh Hashanah does not include New Year's resolutions in the way that has become part of the secular New Year ritual. The steps we take, or might take, include not just behaviors, but also mindsets, not just goals, but also soul searching. My hope for all of us in this coming year is that we find our way, shed the thoughts that keep us stagnant, and actualize all of our creativity to do what we can, what is in our power, when so much is seemingly not, to bring about a better world. 4 years ago, I asked all of you to do something else, something equally important, and that is to vote. There is nothing more in our power. Our country and our community need us to stand up and use our right to vote, now more than ever. So Dolly and I will keep baking because food is love and ritual keeps us grounded, and because the process has brought me so much joy and a sense of accomplishment. What is going to do that for you this year? I would love to hear from you all, and maybe together, with each of our practices, rituals, and behaviors, we can indeed bring about healing to our fractured world. Kenya Hiratzon, may it be God's will.